Hello everybody, it's Frosty the Songman. It is February 2nd, 2019. And I apologize if I sound funny or if I'm a little low energy. I have a cold that I'm trying to get over, but I need to feed YouTube with a new video, so I'm going to try to power through it. On this day in 1976, Genesis releases Trick of the Tail, which is an awesome album. I really recommend this one. This is the first album where Phil Collins is the lead singer, full-time lead singer, after Peter Gabriel departed from the band. And I mean, I really like early Genesis stuff too, but you would imagine, okay, well they got rid of Peter Gabriel, now it's going to suck. But actually, this is a very, very fine album. A lot of beautiful stuff on it. So Trick of the Tail, 1976, I would recommend this. And just 3 years later, and on this day in New York City, Sid Vicious died of a heroin overdose. And he was, of course, the bass player for the Sex Pistols. And I am going to review the Sex Pistols, Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols album, because it's one of my favorite punk albums. But today I'm going to review another album, another punk album. It's by the band Stiff Little Fingers. And it is their first album, Inflammable Material. And Stiff Little Fingers is actually still together. I think they just put out an album like 3 years ago. But as far as I know, they're still playing live. They're a punk rock band from Belfast, Ireland. They were formed in 1977 at the height of the Troubles. And as a lot of you know, the Troubles was kind of a low-level guerrilla warfare period. It started in the late 60s and went to the late 80s. It was between Irish Catholics that wanted Northern Ireland to be subsumed into the Irish island and then to become one nation, Ireland, and get rid of this Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland business. And the other side was the Protestants in Northern Ireland, who were a part of the UK, who wanted to remain a part of the UK, and they were culturally a little different than the Catholic Irish. So yeah, there was that conflict there. And a lot of sad stories from that period. A lot of bombed bars and bombed cars, back alley assassinations. So a very sad period for Ireland for that 30 years. All right, so Stiff Little Fingers started out as a schoolboy band. They called themselves Highway Star, which was a Deep Purple song. And they originally started out just playing classic rock covers, which of course back then they didn't call it classic rock, but that's basically what it was, 70s rock that was on the radio. But then punk happened, and then they really said, oh, let's redesign ourselves, and they really turned on to punk, and they changed themselves to a punk band after that. And I'm glad they did, because they put out some really cool punk. Alright, so they went through many personnel changes during their musical career. Jake Burns, the lead singer, is the only member to have been with the band their whole existence. In 1979, they released the album Inflammable Material, which is what I'm focusing on today. And this album, most of the tracks on the album are about the troubles that I talked about earlier in Northern Ireland and the grim reality of life in Northern Ireland. The songs contain themes of teenage boredom, sectarian violence, and police oppression on the part of the Royal Ulster Constabulary. Alright, so, and then 1980 saw the release of Nobody's Heroes, 1981, Go For It, and 1982, the album Now Then. And if you want to, all four of those are good albums. I like the first one the best, which is the one I'm focusing on, Inflammable Material. But if you want to get an album that contains all four, the best songs from the first four albums, I would get this. It's all the best. And to be honest with you, this is the album I know the best because it's the one I bought first. So these are the songs on this. Anyway, this is really cool. It's got a lot of the first album songs on this best of thing. So they continued releasing studio albums. 1991, Flags and Emblems was released. And actually, listen to the song Each Dollar a Bullet. That's a really cool song off that album, Flags and Emblems from 1991. In 1994, they released Get a Life, and they continued releasing many more studio albums, and they have 10 live albums, so they really have a pretty prolific output. So here's a little history of how they got known. In 1977, the band recorded the single Suspect Device, which I'll play in a little bit here, and they sent it to John Peel, who was a famous English DJ on BBC Radio 1 from 1967 to his death in 2004. And John Peel was like a household name back then. He broke many, many bands, and people trusted his taste in music. And which I hope you guys trust my taste in music. That's why I do this channel. I want you to eventually get to trust me. Like whatever I review, it's probably a good album because I've watched 10 of his other videos and I've liked all of the other albums he likes. So that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this channel, you know, to be a voice that you can trust me when I'm trying to let you know about great albums. So John Peel played this song, Suspect Device, over and over again, and it got attention, and it led to a distribution deal with Rough Trade, and the single was released on the band's own Rigid Digits label, and it sold over 30,000 copies. And actually I'm doing this video over because the first time I said it sold over 3,000 copies, and I'm like, I can't keep that on there. That sounds bad. So this is my second take of this video. So 30,000 copies. I got it right this time. If you want to see a documentary on the band, I'd recommend, it's a really short one. I think it's about 6 minutes long. Search YouTube for A Brief History of Stiff Little Fingers, and I'll put the link in the description below. And another one I found was Stiff Little Fingers Inflammable Material documentary, and I'll put that link below too. Both of those, you get a little more information on the band. Yeah, so just a personal reaction to Stiff Little Fingers. It's very raw. You could feel the emotion. You can feel the tension that was wrought out of the troubles living in Northern Ireland during that time. Yeah, just a pissed off kind of like, why do we have to live this type of life sound to it. So let me play a couple. This is Suspect Device, the song that the band sent to John Peel, which John Peel played repeatedly. Alright, so another song from this first album is called Wasted Life. It's on the best of in the first album.
Go out there and fight to save this land. Be a people soldier, paramilitary gun in hand. I won't be a soldier, I won't take no orders from no one. Stop that fucking armies, killing isn't my idea of fun. They wanna waste my life, they wanna waste
right. So my only complaint is that it's not the best recording. It's definitely lacking some high fidelity, but I think the raw emotion makes up for it. So check it out. Stiff Little Fingers, their first album. The 2 songs I just played are on this first album, Inflammable Material. Or if you want to get the best of their first 4 albums, go ahead and get this, All the Best. And I would recommend checking out their later albums too. I don't know them as well as the early stuff, but from what I've heard, just listening to songs here and there, it sounds like pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Stiff Little Fingers. This is Frosty the Songman, Red Radio Reviews, signing out.